My controlling sister demanded I pay for her dream wedding after years of abuse, so I decided to give her exactly what she deserved. I, 32 am the middle child of 3 siblings in what I'd call a pretty normal Midwestern family. My older sister Emma, 35F, has always been the golden child. My younger brother Jake, 29M, is the baby of the family, and I've pretty much existed in the awkward middle space where I'm neither the trailblazer nor the one who needs extra attention. Growing up in Columbus, we were firmly middle class. Dad worked as an accountant and Mom was a part-time nurse who mostly stayed home with us until we were all in high school. From early on, there was this weird dynamic with Emma. She was always the responsible one, the mature one, the one who my parents pointed to and said, "Why can't you be more like your sister?" She graduated top of her class, went to Ohio State on a partial scholarship, and landed a decent marketing job right out of college. Meanwhile, I chose a trade school route, became an electrician, and now own a small but successful electrical contracting business. I make good money, better than most people realize, but it's never been as prestigious as Emma's corporate career in my parents' eyes. The thing about Emma, though, is that behind the perfect facade, she's always been manipulative and controlling. She's the type who helps you by criticizing every decision you make and then takes credit when something goes well. Throughout our childhood, she would borrow my stuff without asking, blame me when things went wrong, and somehow always managed to make herself look like the victim. When we were teens, she borrowed my car without permission, got into a fender bender, and somehow convinced my parents it was my fault for pressuring her into taking it when she wasn't comfortable driving. Complete fiction, but they believed her. I've mostly kept the peace over the years. I moved about 40 minutes away to a smaller town outside Columbus, bought a modest but nice 3-bedroom house with a big yard for my dog Max, a lovable golden retriever who's honestly better company than most humans, and built my business. I date occasionally but nothing serious in the last few years. My last relationship ended when my girlfriend of 2 years took a job in Chicago and we couldn't make long distance work. But I'm content with my life, even if my family seems to think I'm just waiting around to grow up or something. Emma, meanwhile, has been with her fiancé Robert for about 4 years. He's fine, works in finance, kind of bland but seems decent enough. They got engaged last Christmas during our family dinner when he got down on one knee in front of everyone. It was a whole production with my parents crying and everyone taking videos. I was happy for them, genuinely. What I wasn't happy about was what came after. About a month after the engagement, Emma invited me to lunch at this overpriced bistro downtown, $22 for a mediocre chicken sandwich kind of place. I should have known something was up because Emma never initiates getting together unless she wants something. "So," she said after we ordered, stirring her iced tea with this smug look I've known my whole life, "Robert and I have been planning the wedding, and we've decided on next October at the Willow Creek Estate. It's going to be absolutely beautiful." "That's great," I said, trying to sound enthusiastic. "Sounds fancy." She leaned forward. "It is. And that's actually why I wanted to talk to you. As you know, our parents already helped me with the down payment on our condo 2 years ago, so they can only contribute about $10,000 to the wedding." I nodded, taking a sip of water. My parents had never offered to help me with a down payment on anything, but I'd never asked either. "Well," Emma continued, "the venue alone is $15,000, and with everything else, the catering, flowers, my dress, we're looking at around $50,000 total." I nearly choked. $50,000? For one day? She rolled her eyes. "It's not just one day, Mike. It's the most important day of my life. And anyway, that's actually on the lower end for the kind of wedding we want." "Okay," I said slowly, already seeing where this was going. "So what does this have to do with me?" Emma set down her fork and gave me the condescending look she's perfected since childhood. "Well, Robert's parents are contributing $20,000, which is amazing. But we're still short. And I know your business has been doing well. You want me to help pay for your wedding?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. "Not help," she corrected. "We need about $20,000 more, and I was hoping you could cover it. You don't have a family to support, you live in that little house, and I know electricians make good money these days. It would mean so much to me." I sat there, genuinely stunned. We'd never been particularly close, she'd never shown much interest in my life beyond criticizing it, and now she wanted me to fork over $20,000? "Emma, that's a lot of money," I said carefully. "I know, but you can afford it. What else are you saving for? It's not like you're getting married anytime soon." That stung, but it was typical Emma. Always a little dig wrapped in a bigger request. "I need to think about it," I told her. She frowned. "There's not much to think about. This is important to me, And family supports family. Mom and Dad agree that you should help out. Of course they did. They'd already been coached by Emma before she even approached me. That's how she operates. I'll think about it, I repeated, more firmly this time. The rest of lunch was tense. Emma kept dropping not-so-subtle comments about how some people waste their money on pointless things. I had mentioned possibly taking a fishing trip to Michigan with some buddies next summer, while others have important life events to fund. When we parted ways in the parking lot, she hugged me and whispered, "I'm counting on you, little brother. Don't let me down." I drove home feeling that familiar knot in my stomach that Emma always managed to create. Part of me wanted to just write the check to avoid the drama, but $20,000? That was a significant chunk of what I'd been saving to expand my business. I had plans to hire 2 more electricians and buy another van within the next year. That money represented my future. That night, I got 3 separate texts from my mom about how excited she was that I was helping Emma with her special day. Emma had already told them I'd agreed. Classic manipulation. The next day, my dad called. "Mike, your mother tells me you're hesitating about helping your sister. What's the problem?" I tried to explain that $20,000 wasn't pocket change, that I had plans for that money, that Emma had blindsided me with this request. "Son," he said in that disappointed tone I knew too well, "your sister has always been there for you. Remember when she helped you study for your licensing exam? She hadn't helped me. She'd criticized my study habits, told me I'd probably fail, and then took credit when I passed. But that's the Emma narrative my parents had always bought into. Dad, I have my own financial goals. I'm trying to grow my business." "That little electrical thing? Mike, this is your sister's wedding. It's once in a lifetime." "My little electrical thing pays my bills," I said, trying not to sound as angry as I felt. "And $20,000 is a lot to ask from anyone." The conversation went around in circles until finally, he sighed dramatically. "Just think about what's important, Mike. Family should come first." Over the next 2 weeks, I got daily texts or calls from either Emma, my mom, or occasionally my dad. Emma even sent me links to wedding venues saying things like, "This is what dreams are made of." Or, "Can you believe I found such a good deal on my venue compared to these?" My younger brother Jake called me about 10 days into this pressure campaign. Unlike Emma and me, Jake and I actually get along pretty well. He moved to Indianapolis after college and works as a graphic designer, so he's somewhat removed from the day-to-day family drama. "Dude," he said when I picked up, "what's this about you refusing to pay for Emma's wedding?" I explained the situation, and he whistled. 20 grand? That's insane. She asked me for $2,000, and I thought that was pushing it. Wait, she's asking you for money too? I thought I was funding the gap. Apparently not all of it. She told me you're paying most of it, but they still need a few little contributions from everyone else. I felt my blood pressure rising. Jake, she told me I needed to cover $20,000 because they were still short after everyone else's contributions. There was silence on the line, then Jake laughed. Classic Emma, she's working everyone separately and probably planning to pocket whatever extra she gets. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Not just about the money, but about the pattern. My whole life had been like this, Emma manipulating situations, making demands, and everyone expecting me to give in for the sake of family peace. But the real breaking point came 3 days later at Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Emma and Robert were there, along with my parents and me. Jake couldn't make it from Indianapolis, which was probably for the best given what happened. We were halfway through my mom's roast beef when Emma clinked her glass with her fork. "I have an announcement," she said, beaming. "Thanks to Mike's incredible generosity, we've been able to upgrade our wedding package. We're now going to have a string quartet for the ceremony and the premium open bar option." All eyes turned to me. My parents looked proudly at their generous son. Robert looked a bit confused. And Emma had that smug smile that said she knew exactly what she was doing. "What are you talking about?" I asked quietly. "I never agreed to give you anything." Emma's smile faltered for just a second. "Don't be modest, Mike. You said you'd help with the wedding costs." I said I'd think about it, I corrected her, and I was thinking about a reasonable gift, not funding a third of your entire wedding. "But you told me." "I didn't tell you anything," I interrupted. "You decided what I was going to do and told everyone else about it before I even agreed." My mother jumped in. "Mike, don't make a scene. We're all so proud of you for helping your sister." "I haven't helped yet," I said, feeling my temper rising. "And frankly, I'm not sure I want to after being manipulated like this." Emma's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean, manipulated?" "I just asked my brother for help with my wedding. That's what family does. No, Emma. You demanded $20,000 from me, told everyone I'd already agreed, and then upgraded your plans assuming you had my money to spend. That's not asking for help. That's entitlement. My father set down his fork. That's enough, Mike. Your sister needs your support right now. This attitude isn't helpful. And what about my needs? I asked. Has anyone considered that I might have plans for my own money? That I'm trying to grow my business? That $20,000 isn't something I can just hand over without it affecting my life? It's not like you have a family to support, Emma said, echoing her comment from lunch. What else would you spend it on? Another fishing trip? A bigger TV? And that was it. The moment when 32 years of being the overlooked middle child, of having my achievements minimized, of being expected to give and give while Emma took and took, it all came to a head. I stood up from the table. You know what? You're right, Emma, what else could possibly be as important as your perfect day? It's not like I have dreams or goals or a future to plan for. I'm just the family ATM who exists to fund your princess fantasy. Emma gasped. How dare you? After everything I've done for you. What exactly have you done for me? I asked. Name one thing, Emma. One selfless thing you've ever done to help me without it somehow benefiting you more or making you look good. She opened and closed her mouth, but nothing came out. My mother was nearly in tears. Michael James Thompson, apologize to your sister right now. No, I said quietly. I'm done apologizing. I'm done being the backup plan, the easy target, the one who's expected to sacrifice while Emma gets whatever she wants. I'm done. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the door. My father called after me, but I didn't stop. I got in my truck and drove home, shaking with anger but also feeling something else, relief. For the first time in my adult life, I'd actually stood up to the family dynamic that had been suffocating me for years. When I got home, my phone was blowing up with texts and missed calls. My mom said I'd ruined dinner. My dad said I needed to apologize. Emma sent a long paragraph about how selfish and cruel I was, how I'd always been jealous of her success, and how she'd expected better from me. I turned off my phone and took Max for a long walk. By the time we got back, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to give Emma $20,000, but I would give her something else entirely. The next morning, I called Jake and explained what had happened and what I was planning. He laughed for about 5 straight minutes. Dude, this is either the pettiest or most brilliant thing I've ever heard, he said. I'm in. What do you need me to do? Over the next week, I ignored the barrage of messages from my family. Emma had apparently told everyone who would listen that I'd promised her money and then cruelly withdrawn it, leaving her wedding plans in shambles. My Aunt Linda called to tell me how disappointed she was. My cousin Brett texted that I should man up and help my sister. Even my mom's best friend Carol somehow got my number and left a voicemail about family obligations. I focused on my plan instead. I did some research, made some calls, and set everything in motion. The hardest part was convincing Jake not to spill the beans. He thought the whole thing was hilarious but promised to keep it quiet. Finally, after 8 days of silence, I texted Emma, I've thought about it. You're right, family should support family. I want to help with your wedding. Can we meet to discuss? Her response was immediate and illustrative of her character, no apology, no acknowledgement of the blow-up, just finally. Yes, let's meet. Café Bella tomorrow at 1? Café Bella was her favorite overpriced lunch spot. Of course. When I arrived the next day, Emma was already there, looking smug and victorious. She'd ordered herself a glass of champagne. I'm so glad you've come to your senses, she said as I sat down. Mom and Dad will be so relieved. Yeah, I said, keeping my expression neutral. I've been thinking about what you said, about family supporting family, and you're right. She practically preened. I knew you'd understand eventually. So, about the $20,000. Actually, I interrupted, I'm not giving you cash. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? I mean I want my contribution to be more personal. I want to actually provide something specific for your wedding, not just write a check. Emma looked suspicious but intrigued. Like what? I want to handle all the electrical and lighting for your reception, I said. Professional wedding lighting packages cost a fortune, and it's literally what I do for a living. I can create a custom lighting design that would normally cost thousands. She considered this. That would be nice, but we still need actual money for the venue and everything else. I'm also going to pay for your DJ, I continued. My buddy Mark runs the best DJ service in Columbus. His premium package is $2,500, but he'll do it as a favor to me. This seemed to placate her slightly. Well, that would help. But we're still looking at a significant shortfall. And, I added, saving the best for last, I want to handle your photography and videography as my gift. Her eyes widened. You're not a photographer. No, but I have connections. Trust me, I can get you a premium package that would normally run about $7,000. Emma did some mental math. So that's lighting, DJ, and photography. That's very generous, Mike, but we still need. Emma, I cut in, this is what I'm offering. These three things, which would normally cost around $12,000 to $15,000 total. It's a significant contribution, and it's what I'm comfortable with. Plus, it's actually more meaningful than just writing a check, don't you think? She clearly didn't think so, but she was also calculating her options. Push too hard and maybe get nothing, or accept this and try to squeeze money from someone else. Fine, she finally said with a tight smile. That's very thoughtful. Thank you. Great, I said brightly. I'll need to coordinate with your wedding planner about the venue details, but I'll handle everything on my end. We finished lunch with Emma describing in excruciating detail every aspect of her planned wedding, from the specific shade of blush pink for the bridesmaids' dresses to the exact type of flowers she wanted in her bouquet. I nodded and made interested noises while mentally reviewing my plan. Over the next few months, I played my part perfectly. I met with Emma and her wedding planner, a harried woman named Stephanie who clearly had been worn down by my sister's demands. I took measurements at the venue, discussed electrical requirements, and showed them examples of lighting designs I'd done for corporate events. I introduced them to my friend Mark, who really is a great DJ and who was fully on board with my plan after I explained the situation. And I assured them that the photography and videography were being handled by associates of mine who were experts in the field. Emma gradually relaxed as the wedding approached, confident that at least these aspects of her big day were taken care of. She even started being almost pleasant to me at family gatherings, telling everyone how creative her brother was being with his wedding contribution. My parents, relieved that the family tension had dissipated, praised me for finding a compromise. If only they knew. 2 weeks before the wedding, I met with Emma and Stephanie for a final review of the plans. I brought detailed diagrams of the lighting setup, a playlist of songs Mark had prepared based on Emma's preferences, and even some sample photos from my photography team, actually just stock images I'd purchased online. Everything looks perfect, Emma gushed. I'm so glad we worked this out, Mike. Me too, I said with a smile. By the way, I'll need access to the venue the day before to set everything up. The lighting installation takes time. Of course, Stephanie said, making a note. The venue allows access from noon onwards for setup. Perfect, I said. And one more thing, I'll need a 50% deposit for the photography team. They require it for booking. Emma's smile tightened. Deposit? I thought this was your gift. It is, I assured her. The deposit is just a formality to hold the date. I'll cover it initially, but I'll need you to reimburse me. It's $1,500. Mike, Emma said in that condescending tone I knew so well, the whole point of your gift was that we wouldn't have to pay for these services. And you won't, I said smoothly. The total package is worth $7,000. I'm covering $5,500 of it. The $1,500 is just to secure the booking. Photography teams are in high demand, you know. Emma looked like she wanted to argue but seemed to remember that $1,500 was still far less than the $20,000 she'd initially demanded from me. Fine, she said tersely. I'll transfer it to you tonight. And she did. I now had $1,500 of her money, which was a crucial part of my plan. The week of the wedding arrived with all the drama you'd expect. Emma had a meltdown about the wedding favors not having the exact ribbon she'd specified. My mother was running herself ragged trying to accommodate last-minute requests. My father was having sticker shock as bills came due. And I was calmly assuring everyone that the lighting, music, and photography were all taken care of. The day before the wedding, I arrived at Willow Creek Estate at exactly noon with a van full of equipment. The venue coordinator, a woman named Teresa, greeted me and showed me where I could set up. For the next 4 hours, I actually did install a pretty impressive lighting system. I ran cables, mounted fixtures, and programmed a digital controller that would allow for different lighting scenes throughout the reception. This part, at least, wasn't a scam. I really do know my stuff when it comes to electrical work. Mark arrived around 4 p.m. to set up his DJ equipment. He's a legitimate DJ who often handles weddings and corporate events, and we've worked together many times. He gave me a knowing wink as he began assembling his setup. She's really going to lose it tomorrow, huh? He muttered as we ran cables. Probably, I admitted. But sometimes a lesson needs to be learned. By 7 p.m., both the lighting and sound systems were fully installed and tested. The venue looked beautiful, I had to admit. The warm, ambient lighting I'd created highlighted the architectural features of the ballroom and created a genuinely romantic atmosphere. If things had been different, if Emma had been a different kind of person or approached me differently, I might have been happy to contribute this as a heartfelt gift. But things weren't different. And my plan was set in motion. I left the venue around 8 p.m., telling Teresa I'd return in the morning to make final adjustments before the ceremony. In reality, I had one more critical stop to make. The next morning, Emma's wedding day, dawned bright and clear. Perfect weather for an outdoor ceremony followed by an indoor reception. I arrived at the venue at 9 a.m., well before any of the wedding party. Teresa let me in, and I made a show of checking all the lighting and sound equipment. Everything's set, I told her. The ceremony lighting will transition automatically at 2 p.m. for the processional, and the reception lighting is programmed to change throughout the evening based on the timeline. It looks amazing, Teresa said. Your sister is lucky to have you handling this. Yes, I agreed with a smile. She certainly is. I left before any family arrived, saying I needed to go home and change into my suit. In reality, I drove to a coffee shop about 15 minutes away, ordered a large black coffee, and waited. At exactly 1:15 p.m., my phone rang. It was Emma. Mike. She practically screamed. Where are the photographers? They were supposed to be here at noon to get pictures of me getting ready. Oh, I said, taking a sip of coffee. Did I not mention? They had a last-minute conflict. They won't be able to make it. There was a moment of stunned silence, then, what do you mean they won't be able to make it? It's my wedding day. I know, it's unfortunate, I said calmly. These things happen sometimes in the service industry. People overbook. You need to fix this right now. She shrieked. Find another photographer. Pay whatever it costs. I've already tried, I lied. Everyone's booked on such short notice. Saturday in October is peak wedding season, you know. I could hear her breathing heavily, probably trying not to ruin her makeup with tears. Mike, I swear to God, if this is some kind of sick joke. It's not a joke, Emma. It's just an unfortunate situation. But hey, everyone has smartphones these days. I'm sure your guests can take plenty of pictures. She hung up on me. I finished my coffee and headed back to my truck. I was just pulling out of the parking lot when my phone rang again. This time it was my mother. Michael, she said, her voice trembling with anger, what is going on? Your sister is in tears. You promised to handle the photography. I know, Mom, and I'm really disappointed too. The photography team had an emergency cancellation. These things happen. Well, you need to find a replacement immediately. This is Emma's special day. I've tried, believe me. But it's impossible to book a professional wedding photographer the day of. I'm really sorry. My mom made a sound somewhere between a groan and a sob. Just get to the venue. Maybe we can figure something out. I agreed and hung up, taking my time driving to the venue. When I arrived, the scene was exactly as I'd expected, total chaos. Emma, still in her getting ready robe, was red-faced and teary, barking orders at bridesmaids who were frantically calling every photography studio in the area. My mother was on her phone as well, while my father looked shell-shocked in the corner. Mike. Emma spotted me and stormed over. This is a disaster. You promised me photographers. I paid you a deposit. I know, I said solemnly. And I have your deposit right here. I pulled an envelope from my pocket and handed it to her. All $1,500, refunded in full. She snatched the envelope but didn't even look inside. I don't want a refund. I want photographers. What about the DJ? Is he going to cancel too? Oh no, Mark is very reliable, I assured her. He'll be here. She seemed marginally relieved at that, until my phone rang again. I answered it on speaker, deliberately. Hey Mike, came Mark's voice. Listen, man, I've got some bad news. My equipment got damaged in transport this morning. Speaker blew out completely. There's no way I can DJ the wedding today. Emma's face went from red to white in an instant. I made a show of looking concerned and surprised. Are you serious? There's nothing you can do? Sorry, man. I've tried everything. The main controller is fried. I can recommend some other DJs, but on such short notice. I understand, I said gravely. Thanks for letting me know. I hung up and turned to Emma, whose hands were shaking. Well, I said, "That's unfortunate." "Unfortunate?" she repeated, her voice rising to a pitch I'd never heard before. "Unfortunate? You promised me a DJ and photographers. You said you had it all handled. This was your contribution to my wedding." "I know, and I feel terrible," I said, managing to keep my expression appropriately distressed. "Sometimes these things just don't work out, despite our best intentions." My father joined us, looking as though he'd aged 10 years in the last hour. "What about the lighting? Is that going to fail too?" I pretended to consider this. "Well, the system is installed and programmed, but these digital controllers can be finicky sometimes." As if on cue, the lights in the ready room where we were standing flickered once, twice, and then went out completely, leaving us in the dim light coming through the windows. "No," Emma whispered. "No, no, no." I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. "Let me go check the breaker box. Might just be a minor issue." I left them standing there in the semi-darkness and walked unhurriedly to the venue's electrical room. Once inside, I flipped the breaker I'd secretly labeled and turned earlier that morning, restoring power to the ready room. Then I made a show of checking various connections and panels for about 15 minutes before returning. "Good news," I announced as I re-entered the now lit room. "I fixed the immediate problem, but there's an issue with the main controller for the reception lighting. The programming is corrupted." "Can you fix it?" my father demanded. "Maybe," I said hesitantly. "It would require reprogramming everything from scratch. I'll need at least 3 hours of uninterrupted work." "3 hours?" Emma shrieked. "The ceremony is in less than an hour. The reception starts directly after." "I know, it's tight. And I can't guarantee it will work. These systems are complicated." Emma looked like she might actually pass out. My mother was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. My father just looked defeated. "So let me get this straight," Emma said, her voice dangerously quiet. "No photographers. No DJ. And potentially no special lighting for my reception. Is that right, Mike?" I nodded solemnly. "All the things you promised to contribute. All the things you assured me were handled. All ruined. On my wedding day." "It's really unfortunate," I repeated. "Stop saying that," she screamed, finally losing all composure. "This isn't unfortunate. This is sabotage. You did this on purpose." I raised my eyebrows, doing my best to look shocked. "Emma, why would I do that? I've spent months planning this." "Because you're jealous. Because you've always resented me. Because you didn't want to help pay for my wedding in the first place." My father stepped between us. "Emma, calm down. Mike wouldn't deliberately ruin your wedding. That's crazy." "Is it?" she demanded. "He's always been difficult. He's always tried to undermine me." I shook my head sadly. "I'm sorry you feel that way, Emma. I've really tried my best here. Sometimes things just fall apart." She stared at me, and I saw the exact moment when realization dawned in her eyes. She knew. She knew exactly what I'd done, but she also knew she couldn't prove it. "You," she breathed. "You planned this." "I planned to contribute to your wedding," I corrected her. "And I have. The lighting system is installed, it just needs reprogramming. It's not my fault the DJ had equipment problems or the photographers had a scheduling conflict." "Get out," she whispered. "Get out of my wedding." "Emma," my mother protested, "we need Mike to fix the lighting." "I don't care. I want him gone. He did this deliberately." My father looked at me with confusion and the first hints of suspicion. "Mike, maybe it would be best if you left for now. We'll figure something out." I nodded solemnly. "If that's what you want. I'll leave the lighting equipment, of course. Maybe the venue has someone who can figure it out." The venue did not, in fact, have someone who could program a professional DMX lighting controller on short notice. And finding a DJ or photographer for a wedding already in progress was, predictably, impossible. I learned all this later from Jake, who stayed for the entire disastrous event. According to him, the ceremony went ahead as planned, lit only by natural light since it was outdoors. Someone's iPhone on a Bluetooth speaker provided the processional music. For the reception, the venue managed to get the basic overhead lights working, but not the specialized mood lighting I'd installed. The hotel's catering manager found an ancient CD player in a supply closet, which they used to play a compilation of love songs borrowed from one of the bridesmaids. And the only photos came from guests' cell phones, many of which were poorly lit or badly framed. Emma was, by all accounts, a wreck. She tried to put on a brave face during the ceremony but broke down during the reception, eventually disappearing to her suite for over an hour. The whole event, which she'd planned as a showcase of elegance and taste, became instead a story of technical failures and makeshift solutions. Jake called me that night, after it was all over. "Dude," he said, laughter in his voice, that was simultaneously the most savage and most deserved revenge I've ever witnessed. "Emma is absolutely convinced you sabotaged everything, but she can't prove a thing." "I have no idea what you're talking about," I said innocently. "I'm just heartbroken that my sister's special day was marred by such unfortunate technical difficulties." Jake snorted. "Right. Unfortunate. You know she's never going to speak to you again, right?" "I'm counting on it," I replied. And I was right. It's been 6 months since Emma's wedding disaster, and she hasn't spoken a word to me directly. My parents were cold at first, clearly suspecting but unable to confirm my involvement, but they've gradually warmed back up, especially after I made a point of being extra helpful and attentive in other ways, helping my dad with his taxes, fixing my mom's persistent electrical issues at their house, etc. The family dynamic has shifted dramatically. Emma no longer holds court at family gatherings as the golden child whose every pronouncement is treated as gospel. There's a wariness now when she makes demands or tries to manipulate situations. My parents are more careful about taking sides. And I've found a new confidence in standing my ground and being clear about my boundaries. Was it petty? Maybe. Was it elaborate? Definitely. But after 3 decades of being manipulated, overlooked, and expected to sacrifice without recognition, sometimes a lesson needs to be taught in a language the other person will finally understand. And the best part? I still have the $20,000 I would have spent on Emma's wedding. I used it as a down payment on a second service van for my business and hired those 2 new electricians I'd been planning to bring on. Business is booming, and I've never been happier or more at peace with my place in the family dynamic. The aftermath has been enlightening too. Some extended family members and friends who heard Emma's version of events, that I deliberately sabotaged her wedding out of jealousy, have distanced themselves from me. Others, who've known about Emma's manipulative tendencies for years, have quietly expressed their admiration for finally standing up to her. Jake has become an even closer ally, and we talk almost daily now. As for Emma and Robert, I hear through the grapevine that their marriage is already showing strain. Apparently, the wedding disaster revealed aspects of Emma's personality that Robert hadn't fully appreciated before. I don't wish them ill, exactly, but I can't say I'm surprised either. In the end, I don't regret what I did. Some might say I should have taken the high road, written the check, and maintained family harmony. But sometimes the high road just leads to the same old destination: more demands, more manipulation, more taking advantage of the person who always gives in. Sometimes you need to take a detour to change the course of things. So to Emma, wherever you are while reading this, I hope you enjoyed your wedding. I put a lot of thought into it.